It's one of the smallest gimbals to date, but also one of the most powerful. It's the tiny giant that could, the Zhiyun Weebill S. Is it Zhiyun or Zhiyun?
Zhiyun.
Zhiyun then. The Zhiyun Weebill S. Hello Gearheads and welcome to another episode of Hammerhead Gearhead. I am Noel Guevara, conservation and wildlife photographer and director, and I'm excited for today's episode on the Zhiyun Weebill S Gimbal. But before anything else, I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching my previous video on the Nikon Z7 1-year honest field review. The support for that just really warms my heart. If you haven't yet though, click on the link above and then let me know in the comments what you think of that video. Today, we look at the Zhiyun Weebill S Gimbal and show you why it's my go-to gimbal for all my assignments and my fieldwork. Now, Zhiyun did not pay me to do this video, but they have lent me the previous version, which is the Weebill Lab, so that I can do a side-by-side comparison and show you just how much the tiny giant has improved over its predecessor. It's been 3 years since my very first gimbal, the Zhiyun Crane V2. Back then, it was just pure joy to be able to get smooth footage without the need for a bulky Steadicam. But it still had weaknesses. It was very much a first generation gimbal, so it was hard to balance, it had limited payload capacity, and the arm obscured the LCD screen. But for what it was still a great gimbal. Now, the Weebill S, however, is the latest in Zhiyun's line, and I was able to test it on 2 projects in Thailand with the Nikon Z7. So, let's dive right in. When you first open your box, you will immediately notice that the Weebill S does not come in a hard case like the Weebill Lab or the Crane V2. Instead, it comes in a foam cutout box. Now, at first I was very disappointed because I wanted to check in my gimbal whenever I would travel. But then I realized that having a hard case defeats the purpose of the portability of the gimbal. In the standard package, you will get the Weebill S Gimbal, a quick release plate for your camera and a riser, a mini tripod, batteries, USB-C charger, and a box of sync cables and screws. Now, off the bat, both gimbals look to be very similar, but the Weebill S's motor is 3 times stronger and 50% faster. Aside from the obvious of contributing to the payload capacity, this actually meant much smoother footage. And this was very helpful when we were filming elephants in the jungles of Thailand, where the terrain was rocky and uneven. Now, if you look at them from the side, you will notice that the Weebill S has a bigger clearance than the Weebill Lab. This means that it can accommodate bigger and somewhat longer lenses. The space at the back gives allowance for the back end of your camera, the EVF and the tilt screen to move around. Now, I use the Nikon 24-70 f4Z mount lens on the Weebill S, and it's a walk in the park for this gimbal. The mounting system is the first on a long list of reasons that make the Weebill S very easy to use. So what you have here is a Manfrotto BL501 style quick release plate that allows you to remove the camera and put it back on the gimbal without rebalancing. Now, if you remove this plate, you will reveal an Arca Swiss style quick release plate that you can use with a variety of tripods. In this case, we're using it with my GorillaPod, like so, which basically means that I can easily switch between my Weebill S gimbal, a tripod, or a GorillaPod on the fly. Next, I want to talk about the locks. The locks are actually the reason why the gimbal is very easy to set up. So, the locks serve 3 purposes. First, to lock the camera and gimbal in place when you're not using it. Second, it makes it very easy to balance because you can lock the other 2 axes while you adjust the remaining one. And third, it allows you to stow or store the gimbal properly, like so, lock it, and it wouldn't move, minimizing its form factor in your bag or while slung on your side. One thing you will notice is that they actually repositioned the locks from the Weebill Lab to the Weebill S. So if you notice here on the side, they repositioned this lock made it smaller, and put it at the top. At the back, they moved this lock, right? And they put it here on the side and also made it smaller. The reason? Because users were constantly hitting them whenever they were operating the camera. So again, it doesn't stop evolving. Another difference between the Weebill S and the Weebill Lab is that they changed the locking type system from a screw type to a lever type, making it so much easier to use and set up. So I've been talking about how quick it is to set up and balance the Weebill S. So let's put that to the test, shall we? I'll film myself and time myself setting up the Nikon Z7 with the 24-70 f4 lens on this Weebill S gimbal for the very first time. Game? Let's do it. Okay, so 4 minutes and 35 seconds to balance this camera on the Weebill S. That might not sound like a very fast personal record, but consider this, it is the first time that I balanced it, and imagine how much faster it's gonna be once I get used to it, and now that we are in a very close sweet spot for the camera and the gimbal. Now, those locks are very helpful, and the thing is, the gimbal will alarm you if you keep one of them locked before use, like so. Now, the batteries. These babies are rated to last between 10 to 14 hours, and they fit in the underbelly of what I call the tail of the Weebill S. When we were filming elephants in the jungles and the sanctuary in Chiang Mai, we never had to change batteries even once from sunup to sundown. Now let's get to the meat of the review. What are the gimbal movements that you can do with the Weebill S? Well, here they are. When you select PF or pan follow, the gimbal follows your movement on the horizontal axis. Holding down the trigger gives you tilt follow. The gimbal follows your panning and your tilting. Lock has your camera and gimbal pointed in one direction, no matter the movement. Turning on POV means your gimbal follows all three axes: panning, tilting, and rolling. Holding down the function button gives you go mode. This is essentially sports mode where your gimbal moves faster and is more responsive. Triple clicking the trigger gives you the selfie mode. Double pressing the POV button gives you vortex mode, and you can control the spin using the directional pad. I don't want to have to use a phone or my computer to change settings on my gimbal, and this is the most important advantage of the Weebill S. Using what I have here on the handle, I can do all of that. Plus, using a cable, I can adjust the exposure settings of my camera and even trigger video recording and photo. In terms of build, you have very solid construction. You have a metal upper body and a plastic lower half. You have this textured grip near the trigger and 3 mounts, one underneath, one on the tail, and then a reset mount on the side, all for accessories. So overall, very sturdy build, well balanced, and very good form factor. I saved the best for last. The two primary reasons why I love this gimbal and use it for fieldwork are its size and its weight. Without the camera and the tripod, and when collapsed, this gimbal will fit within the area of an A4 sized piece of paper. I can also holster it at the top of my Peak Design bag or at the side of any of the backpacks that I own. I also find it impressive that considering all these improvements, the Weebill S is actually lighter than its predecessor, the Weebill Lab. Imagine that! So, how did it stand up in the field? Well, it stood up spectacularly. I didn't expect it to withstand all the conditions that I was shooting in, but with a little TLC, light rain, and dust weren't really much of a problem. So, let's get to how I customized the Weebill S to fit how I would shoot. I really love these trans-mount quick setup kits. So you just screw them on handles or tripods, and it makes it very easy to attach or detach these items from the gimbal. If you have one for both ends, you can do so with both, just like that. The Weebill S does not come with a shoulder strap, so I rigged up my own hack so that I have a strap for my own use in the field. So what you would need would be the transmount kit, and then a Peak Design Pro Drive. It's a D-ring, collapsible D-ring, Peak Design anchors, and a Peak Design slide strap, right? So any rigging, any strap would work, but this is what works best for me. So what you have to do is attach the D-ring and then the anchors onto the transmount quick setup kit and attach those to your shoulder strap. Sling it and then attach it to the tail or the back of the Weebill S. So just collapse the tripod, and when you're ready to travel, you're good to go. Like so. It rests on your hip or at your lower back, and it can even take it with the camera on the gimbal. And if you want to deploy and shoot, just remove this transmount kit and you're good to go. You can even switch the handle to the other side if you have transmount kits on both ends, and then shoot in underslung mode, go back, and then ready to go. Just put the sling, and there you go. Easy peasy. Zhiyun also has this monitor mount that acts as a second handle. However, for me, I can't use it. I use the Atomos Ninja 5, and that monitor is a bit too big and it obstructs the movement of the upper part of the gimbal. So I had to get a small rig monitor mount that attaches here to the rosette mount and extends further out and suspends my monitor underneath so I can operate the gimbal without it hitting the monitor at all. Now for my verdict. I always assess each equipment that I bring based on its usefulness versus its size and weight. Now, considering how light and small the Weebill S is, the value that it brings me and my footage is just phenomenal. I could bring a Weebill S and even add a cage, a tripod, a monopod, another body, some lenses, and even a drone, and it wouldn't be a problem because it's just so light. I could bring everything and be able to perform a multitude of tasks on my own. Now, this is exactly why I recommend the Weebill S Gimbal. It gives me everything that I need to shoot smooth and stable footage in such a portable and robust package. If you want to see the output of the Weebill S, head on over to my Wonderfruit travel video that I shot with it and the Nikon Z7. The link is above and also down in the descriptions. You can also head on over to my Instagram and check out my photos and videos, mostly adventure, wildlife, and documentary content. Now, if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And if you have other inputs you want to discuss further, you want to talk about the Weebill S, hacks, things you don't like about it, things you like about it, let me know in the comments and we'll continue everything there. Thanks, Gearheads. Cheers, and I'll see you soon.